Hello and welcome back to Wake Up and Dream. I am here with Lisa and Kelly. It's so great to always be here with these lovely ladies. And if you joined us last episode, we're kind of doing a rollover episode here. Lisa shared about core values and what they are, and she helped me immensely with that conversation because it's a new concept for me. She really went into how to find your core values and how they can help. Knowing your core values can help you really achieve what matters most in your life. And one of the other things that she did mention around this topic was that you could have multiple core values depending, like individual core values or your core values as a couple, your core values as a family, which really helps kind of keep put things into perspective for me as well. But today we wanted to go through and continue this discussion and get some coaching from Lisa, because this is an exercise that I have not done yet. And Kelly, I believe, has explored this, but has not gone through the entire exercise of figuring out her core values. And just the more we talked about it, both on last episode and just offline, I feel like it's a really useful tool, especially for people that struggle with decision making like me and Kelly, because we are nines on the Enneagram and we always have these issues come up with making decisions in general. But what Lisa shared last week was really that these core values can be used as a lens for decision making as well, which I'm super interested in learning more about. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa. Lisa's going to ask us some really hard questions probably, but it's going to make us think. It's going to make us reflect. And hopefully at the end of this episode, we'll be a couple steps closer to discovering what our core values really are. So I'm really excited for this one.
I had to find my unmute. All right. So this is exciting. I think this is it could be like one of the pieces of the puzzle that is so helpful to heighten your awareness to the things that matter most, to how your general makeup is, personality wise, past experiences, how they've impacted you negatively and positively, and what matters most. So when I did this, I met with a coach, and he guided me through some questions, and I just wrote these answers down. And as I did that, it's almost as if that helped get the juices flowing in my thoughts. And then when I turned to the page of all of the core value words, it was easier, because I think, it's kind of like when someone says, "What's your why?" It's like you get thrown into the deep end of the pool and you're supposed to come up with some answer, and you haven't percolated on what really matters to you, what your natural bend is, what you're drawn to. And so these questions that I'm going to ask you two ladies are for the purpose of kind of getting those juices flowing, with the premise of what matters most to me as an individual. So I don't care who wants to start, but I would love for each of you to share a time in your life that really brought you the greatest joy, you felt the greatest amount of fulfillment, accomplishment, perhaps. What comes to mind? Some moments or a single moment that really you felt like $1,000,000?
So I can go first on this one because I really think, okay, so what I should say is becoming a mom. I feel like everybody's like, that's, even my mom always says that, oh, my greatest achievement is having kids. I love my kids. I don't feel that that is necessarily my greatest achievement, the act of having them, although it was a very difficult pregnancy and all the things. So I was glad we got to the other side of it. But I really truly think that in the last month of my growth and my growth as a parent and my growth with connecting travel with my kids and all of that, I am so friggin' proud of myself for how we showed up as a family for our Italy trip. And it's like a different feeling than I've traveled many times before. Even with the kids, without the kids, like this was different because I feel like there was just so much more. It was just intentional how I showed up for my kids and for my husband. And I really felt like at peace from beginning to end with how everything played out. Even with like things like we almost missed our train. We were literally running with luggage to get to our train. We lost luggage on the flight. Like none of that even mattered. And we were still kind of like chill with all of the crazy. The trains went on strike one day. All of these things came into play. And it was like, nothing, like it was fine. Everything was fine. And I feel like I still, maybe it's just because it's still so recent that I'm still kind of high on that energy and that excitement. But I really think that the way that this all panned out was one of like the top highlights of my most recent past anyway.
I love that, Sarah. And I think like just hearing you say that, you are like so proud of what you accomplished because, you know, you weren't feeling great about it and
Yep.
you didn't want to feel like that. And so you did the work. You did the work to make it an amazing experience. And just the moment that you said, I'll go first, I was like, ah! And I was going to say my part as well. And it really is an accomplishment of the mindset and the heart set. And that's kind of where I was going with mine too, because like you, I'm glad you just put it out there. It should be the children. And that's what I felt. Or it's, you know, for me, like accomplishes in sports in high school and, you know, going to college and getting my dream job in interior design and, you know, all those things where you think with the outside world, it's the stepping like stones of getting someplace in your life of, you know, all the milestones that you're supposed to just check off the list. I did this, I did this, I did this. And really, I feel like the most amazing moments that you have in your life is that self growth and knowing what you've accomplished. And it may not reflect the checkbook, right? Like it's more of the internal growth. And I know that that's what this podcast is about. And I know that that's what the three of us have been doing over the past 2.5 years together. However, it really like resonates with Sarah and I know Lisa as well, like finding what works for you and pulling you out of the ickiness. And for me, that was depression with infertility. I mean, I can't tell you what a dark hole that was for me for years. And now looking back of how I feel today with also like getting past the depression, but then when the next volcano, tornado, hurricane rolls into your life, you have these tools that you've learned, like you, Sarah, with this trip. I mean, you're not going to forget about the way you transformed yourself in that last month or two in leading up to the trip. And for me too, like we constantly learn these tools of, because life's going to happen. We're going to have craziness and it's going to be sad and it can be lonely. But if you are constantly doing the work, and I think this is where those core values can really kick it up a notch in your goal and what you do next and how you raise your children, all the things, like it really is that accomplishment of, I don't want to be 80, 90 years old going, wow, that's it. Like, I hate my life. My kids don't talk to me. I mean, my husband's sitting over there, but we don't talk. We don't travel. We, you know, lost our faith and all these, like, I want to grow. I want to grow every single day and be with my spouse and Jace and just know that I've lived and gone through it all. I don't want to be bored, but I don't, you know, like, I just want to like keep growing. And this is just
love it.
I love it.
So let me just summarize what I heard you say in some possible words to marinate on, because for you, Sarah, what came to my mind was intentional. Like the fact that you were so intentional, that played such a core piece in your travel experience from the time, ahead of time to during to after to those, all of that, how important having intention, doing things with real intention. That may be one of the words that you want to marinate on. For both of you, I saw the word growth. The growth, I mean, that's one of my core values. I never want to look back not and be the same person that I was the year before. Like, I just want to always be getting better, improving, all of the things. And so growth, maybe self growth, was one thing that you said, Kelly, along with mindset. It's that inner work, and that's so important. So let's flip the coin over, and I want you to think about a time or experience where you felt disempowered. Disempowered. What's coming to your mind at a time when you just felt disempowered?
Well, recently I have learned to find my voice and to speak up with others because I am that peacemaker. So I don't want to ruffle feathers. I just want everything to go according to plan and just all the things. I don't want to make waves, regardless of how I really feel about it in my heart. And I've learned that that is extremely unhealthy. So short story, but we were trying to decide because we knew we weren't going to stay in Kentucky. And so we were debating Florida or Colorado. And I, as a stay-at-home mom, has always allowed my husband to make the bigger decisions because he is the income provider. He, is working outside the home. And not that I ever downplayed my importance as being a stay-at-home mom and raising our son. I just always felt like I shouldn't have a say. I shouldn't tell him, no, we're not moving, or no, you can't take that next job. That doesn't align with our family. Like, I just felt like, let's let him decide. And that is extremely toxic for both of us, I learned. For me to just be compliant and to just not have a say in where I want to live and where I want to be and what type of job that I want my husband to be in, because that will affect how many hours I am home with our son without him, kind of thing. And so recently when we were deciding where to live, my husband's like, well, I'll just go to Florida and I'll, check it out and see, if we would want to live there, where we would live. And I said, nope, I'm going with you. We are going to do this together. And it wasn't that he was doing that on purpose, but because I've allowed that to happen over the past 13 years of marriage, that I just let him do it. But then on the flip side, that was extremely heavy for me to put that burden onto him to make that decision solely by himself for our family. That was the worst thing I probably could have done. And when I admitted that to him, that I'd been doing that to him, he didn't really realize it, but you could just see his face, just in his body posture, just like, oh my gosh, my wife wants to help me with this decision. And then if it doesn't work out, it's not on me alone. We chose this together. And so that was just a burden that I didn't even know I was doing for our family. I thought I was doing the right thing because I wasn't the income earner, for the majority of our marriage. And it was like, no, I have a voice. And by golly, my husband wants me to have one too. That's who he married, an independent woman who had goals and desires. And it was just this, oh my gosh, she's back. Like, this is who I married. Now we're doing this together. So thank God for
Love
all
that,
this,
Kelly.
again, self-growth and work, because it can affect you and you just subconsciously don't even know you're doing things because you think it's the right thing, but really it's not helping either one of us in our case.
I love that example.
For me, I think a time where I felt disempowered is probably going back several years to me being in corporate. I mean, I'm still kind of in corporate. I have, my day job alongside all the other passions I have. But I got to a point in my previous role where I felt like I was stuck, where I felt like this is life. I'm going to be here for another 15 years, 20 years, then I'll retire, and then I will be able to do the things that I want to do in life. Um, and it really it hit me hard one day when I woke up and I was like, this can't be it. You know, at that time when I was having these feelings come up, I wasn't thinking like, well, if I find a new job, I was making excuses. I can find a new job, but then is it going to be as flexible? Will I get paid as much? Will it be what I want? Or is it just going to be another job I don't like? And all of these things were coming up. I've since done the work like you, Kelly, to realize that I was just feeding myself lies, that were none of them being truth. And I started taking my life into my own hands. And that's where network marketing came in. That's where mindset work came in. That's where life coaching came in, and this podcast and you guys. And, I'm way happier in my new role now that I actually got out of that environment. But it was just that feeling. I feel like I can almost bring myself back to that exact feeling right before I said yes to this network marketing chance. And even if like network marketing for me was kind of a stepping stone to all of these other things, so I'm forever grateful for that. But I remember that feeling of like, I need to take back control and I need to do that now. And that's when I said yes. But right before that, it was a really dark place of just, you know, uh, it is what it is. This is my life. Those things, and it was not a good place to be.
Mm, this is so good. And I think what I'm hearing is like helping you get connected to those feelings, right? That's what both of you did. You went back in your mind to that time and how it felt. And I think sometimes we go into even a core values assessment and we go, oh, I like that word. Or, oh, that's a pretty word. I like that one. That one but it's these experiences and the extremes of the emotions that are really percolating you to really think about like that feeling of being stuck. You never want to have that feeling ever again, like hardcore, like you don't. But what I heard in both of your stories was you value awareness. Like you did the work to help create that awareness around it, but you also took back your power. You owned your God-given gifts, talents, value. I think value, that would maybe a core value, or, a core value is value. Just knowing your worth, that worthiness that I don't have to play second fiddle. I have a voice in a family decision, or I have a voice in what I want to do as a job for the next 10, 20, 30 years. I don't have to be stuck here. So that's really, really cool to think about, and kind of marinate on. And I'm gonna end it with this, and there are actually 5 questions, but I think this one is going to just help us to kind of even go a little deeper or see it from a different angle. And the last question we're going to tackle today is, at the end of your life, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? What do you really want to be remembered for?
I'll tackle this one first. I'm nervous to say it out loud because it makes me cry, because I just know I am setting an example for Jace in the hard times, in the infertility times, in the I'll just be vulnerable. The arguments of parents, you know, of us in front of him trying to figure life out, like, it's hard being a mom and a wife sometimes, and dang it, you're trying to do the right thing all the time. But being just honest and teaching our kids, and in my case, Jace, tough decisions are going to arrive in your life with your wife one day, and you're going to have to figure it out, and it's going to be a struggle. But know that the most important thing is, for us, we call it the big three because it's the three of us, but it's going to be you and God and your wife and your kiddos. And just setting, for me, just setting that example for Jace, that if it gets hard, it's okay, because look at how me and your dad worked through this. I mean, the outside people, my friends and, you know, extended family, I just want to be that, like, wow, she set that example for Jace to know that dreams can happen. You need to be the best person you can be. And Lisa, you hit it on the head a couple of times ago with what you had said. Like, I don't want to look back a year from now and be the same person. I want Jace to literally witness with his own eyes how, for me, mom and dad just kept going, and we kept going deeper in our faith, deeper in our love for each other, for ourselves, and what truly, truly matters. And this is where, I mean, like, core values and taking it not only to you personally, but to you as like a couple and a family would just, I mean, I'm all about that right now, because that's something new that I hadn't heard before. And why not make it a family thing? So that's what I'm striving for, and to be able to look back and not even recognize, in a good way, but not even recognize who I was a year ago, because so many amazing things have happened because I was intentional. I used my voice and created the peace that I wanted.
Love it. Love
Kelly,
it.
I love that, Kelly. And it was just so well said with such emotion. Like, I don't think I could even say anything like to top that. Not that I'm trying to top that at all. But I think that for me personally, at this phase in my life right now, I have the exact same hope for my children, is that they have everything they need. They can look to me and Jared and be, you know, they just be proud of who we are as a couple, who we are as a family. Everything that I am doing in my current days, nights, everything is all with them in mind. So at this, I would love to be able to be like, oh, like one day I want to be an author. I want to do this. I want to do that. And that might come. But at this stage that I am in my life, my like main thing for me is just to show up for my kids, show up for my family, go to the PTA meetings or whatever I need to do just to show them that I'm there. Like, you know, June is an interesting month because every week there's something else at the school that I'm running to. So it's like, you know, but I'm able to be there. I created a life that allows me to be there so I can be that mom that shows up for her kids. And I just really want them to look back and be like, wow, like mom was really awesome. And that's really the legacy that I am hoping to leave.
You guys, it's so beautiful. Love, love, love. And some of the like key words that I would say, like, string this together, I thought of legacy. Like, both of you talked about leaving a legacy for your kids, that example, like the perseverance, the determination. Like, Kelly, that was like bursting forth, like, you know, that is the legacy, right? It is setting that legacy of doing the hard things, staying true to yourself and your values, sticking with it through the hard things. You even mentioned honesty, and you know that may be something to percolate on. Hope, Sara, you mentioned leaving hope, you know, that You want to show that example of, hey, create the life that you want. Don't settle. Um, that's so beautiful. So beautiful. So I want to challenge and encourage each of you, Sara and Kelly, to dive in, do some more journaling on these questions, and then out of that kind of
Yes, I just think this is like such a great like opportunity for our listeners too. Like take these questions that Lisa just asked us, sit down, write it down real quick, fast forward, and then take that pause in the podcast and really think about those 3 things that Sara and I were able to just open up, be vulnerable about, and really dig in. Because now what's your why? I mean, if I never hear that sentence again, I'll be better off, because it isn't about that, right? Like, I feel like sometimes that's all about, I want to make $5,000 a month. I want to retire my husband. I wanted to, those aren't going to get you out of bed. And when real life actually happens, and tornadoes and hurricanes literally and figuratively happen, and retiring your husband as a why goal is not going to get you through it. What's going to get you through it is the hope and the honesty and the determination and the peace and your God-given talents. And that's what we just encourage our listeners, to really sit down with those questions. And then, like I said before in last week's episode too, if you missed them in the show notes, we'll have them again in these show notes with the words, and you can pick any word. Don't limit yourself to the list. But if there's something that pulls on your heartstrings that isn't on the list, use it. Use it as a core value. Get quiet. And then connect with us if you want, to dive deeper. If you have questions about what something might mean, don't hesitate to reach out. Ladies, this was an amazing episode. It might be one of my favorites. And just appreciate both of you. I appreciate our listeners. We're here for you guys to just open these doors, because the 3 of us have experienced so much growth, and we want to share our journey, what worked for us, and for all of you here. So until next time, wake up and dream.